Welcome back to Questions of Faith. Today, we're answering a question I've often asked myself as I grew in my faith. Why did God allow Job to be punished and tested so much? If God is all-powerful, why would he let Job go through so much pain and loss? Why allow Satan to test him at all? Let's dive into the answers. 1. Understanding God's power and sovereignty. First, it's important to remember God's absolute power. God is the creator of the universe, and everything happens according to his will. In Psalm 115:3, it says, "Our God is in the heavens. He does whatever pleases him." This verse reminds us that God is sovereign. His actions are always in line with his wisdom, even if we don't always understand them. In Isaiah 55:8-9, God says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways and my thoughts than your thoughts." God's perspective is beyond ours, and his reasons for allowing suffering often serve a higher purpose. The testing of Job, a heavenly conversation. In Job 1:6-12, we see a conversation in heaven between God and Satan. Satan challenges God, suggesting that Job only worships because he's been blessed with wealth and prosperity. Satan argues that if Job lost everything, he would curse God. In Job 1:9-11, Satan says, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." God allowed Job to be tested to show that Job's faith was real. It wasn't because of his wealth or comfort, but because of his deep love and trust in God. God knew that Job would remain faithful even in his trials. 3. Why suffering and testing? AICIA, testing reveals true faith. In James 1:2-4, we read, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Job's suffering tested his faith, revealing that it was genuine and not just based on external blessings. B. Suffering leads to spiritual growth. Job's suffering also led him to spiritual maturity. After his trials, Job came to know God in a deeper way. In Job 42:5, Job says, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Through suffering, God drew Job closer to himself. And in the same way, God uses our struggles to deepen our relationship with him. See God's glory in our faithfulness. In John 9:3, Jesus explains that suffering sometimes happens for God's glory. He says, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him." In Job's case, his faithfulness through suffering brought glory to God and showed that true faith endures, even in the hardest of circumstances. 4. Why did God allow Satan to test Job? Some might wonder, why did God allow Satan to be involved in the testing? The answer is that God is sovereign, and while Satan was allowed to test Job, he was still under God's control. In Job 1:12, God says to Satan, "Very well then, everything he has is in your hands, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." God limited what Satan could do, ensuring that Job's testing had a purpose and would ultimately bring about growth, not destruction. 5. The ultimate victory of God's power. At the end of the story, God restored everything Job lost, and even blessed him more than before. Job 42:10-17. This shows that God can bring restoration after suffering. His power is not just seen in his ability to allow trials, but in his ability to redeem and restore. Conclusion. So why did God allow Job to suffer? He allowed Job's testing to refine his faith, show that true faith is not based on blessings, and bring about spiritual growth. While we might not always understand why God allows suffering, we can trust that He uses it for our good and His glory. God's ultimate power is shown not just in allowing suffering, but in redeeming it and restoring us. Thank you for joining us today on Questions of Faith. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more discussions.